Welcome back to Hazardous Endeavors.
Woo, woo. Yes.
Abbot's Field Edition.
Yes, indeed. Welcome back to the Digital and Dice actual play 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons podcast.
You make that sound like a swimsuit edition, the Abbot's Field edition, where we're sitting around in a field.
Or like nuns in bathing suits. I'm down.
Right then, so we find our intrepid adventurers. You had made your way into the town of Abbot's Field itself. You had stopped at the inn, I believe it was the Tilted Chalice.
Yes, the Tilted Chalice.
Run by an elven woman, Ilrana Songmeadow, to where you got yourselves some rooms. And upon getting said rooms and making your way out, your conversation was overheard by a halfling known as Lyle Anderwise, who introduced himself as a loremaster and treasure hunter, who requested that you entreaty the abbey to allow him access to the library inside. And in exchange, he gave you some information as to possible locations where the Dawn Guard had made their way back during the War of Ascension.
And it was super helpful, I think. It was super helpful, yes?
Yeah, no, we liked it.
Yes, we got some very good information.
So Lorgar Lyle, he's a bro. We like him.
Dittos.
And upon making your way up the hill into the abbey itself, you were brought to see High Priest Artuz Koratz, who greeted Jaxom like a long-lost son, a big bear hug, and welcomed you all into the hall of the Dawnfather, and basically said, well, we have a lot to talk about. Or he's more accurately looking for some information from you all because it's been kind of boring here.
It's been kind of boring, and then we showed up with like his long lost orphan, and all this wonderful swag.
But he seems totally into that tree, so I don't know.
At this point, his
leave it alone.
The potted plant has been set gently down on the bench beside where he was sitting, and he is now just standing, towering above most of you, and seems to have just this look of almost like serene happiness about him, and he's got his fingers laced together and his thumbs kind of arched over the top, and he's looking down and he says, maybe we should go somewhere comfortable. Yes, I have some spots over here, and he motions over to one side of the garden where you see like a circle of stone benches. He says, the sun plays off the leaves here very nicely. Come with me. Come.
Excellent. We can sit about in the park, maybe play a little bit of hacky sack.
You note that over most of his scales that are visible, you see what look to be geometric tattoos that seem to be almost carved into the scales themselves. And it looks to be in a very distinct pattern. And you're not quite sure why that is. But you note that it's not just designs, it seems to have meaning. But he makes his way over and he sits down on one side of this little circle of benches and motions with both of his hands, kind of gyrating them back and forth.
I lounge into the bench, sort of traipse myself across one.
Okay.
I just sit. Look.
Right.
That.
So, we've got good news, we've got bad news.
Yes, I heard something about a blockade, and
the blockade is gone.
Oh,
and we even recovered the supplies, so that when we head back up to
light be praised.
Wastekeep, we can give it to him.
Very well, very good.
To where?
To Blightwatch. There we go. Blightwatch, Wastekeep.
The advisor,
things.
Kavro Seldith,
Yes.
is a lich.
Oh, he actually seems to make kind of a protective gesture over his heart. He says, "This is disturbing news. Yes, very. How did this come to happen?"
Well,
Through the death of many of Callan Hall, through a ritual using the Brazier of Ograd.
I see. Oh.
King Westing is also dead.
He actually gasps and is his whole body kind of shoots back almost, and he's shaking. Dead? You say?
Been for 15 years.
He blinks, not quite comprehending.
Kavro had turned him into a white.
You're laying it
Jaxom
really softening the blows there.
Jaxom, is this true?
Unfortunately, it is true.
It's a wizard thing.
We laid him to rest as gently as we could.
Bedside manner of a bugbear.
And we took out at least the form that the Lich had taken.
I see.
I believe he's gone and holed himself up into the Blighted Hills.
Gets kind of a grim look across his face. I see.
Yeah.
His days
see.
are numbered. That we can promise you.
How many numbers?
You, wait. You're going after him?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sort of our job now. We see.
Check out these sweet
Jaxom
dabbers.
we found this relic, and then we sort of ended up being happenstanced into essentially a new Dawn Guard.
Yes.
Yes.
Dawn Guard 2. Dawn Guard Continued. Dawn Guard Junior.
Dawn Guard 2.
Electric Boogaloo.
Ecclesiastic Boogaloo. There we go.
Ah.
I think it'll just be the new Dawn Guard.
I see.
But did you know King Weston
He
personally?
he starts to nod and then kind of tilts his head. Not personally, no. We didn't have a whole lot of time to get to know each other. You know, we just I'm busy, unfortunately, running the town here. I've met him a couple times, but
Okay.
I never knew.
Is there a friend of his here?
A friend of King Westing?
Mm-hmm. An old friend.
Maybe.
I mean, that's not the main reason we're here. Is we do need to speak with your Loremaster Donna.
Oh, yes.
We may have, a key to sticking it to Kavro Seldith before he gets too powerful.
I see.
But you've got the book.
I do.
It's in old script.
It's in the language written as a cipher for the followers of Bane.
Then, yes. Dorna will know what to do with it, yes. She will be your... Yes, indeed. That is why you're here.
That's one of the primary reasons. Also, it's always good to get the boy, get a bit of his home. It's good for him.
It is always good to welcome back a wayward child, as it were. Jaxom, your words of your deeds have travelled. It is known that you have done good things. Many good things.
Not even a warrant out on him.
Proud of him.
Always good to hear, though I don't think I've been wayward for many years.
Oh. Well, I remember my wayward decades.
Right.
But yes, there is like I said, if you know anything about King Westing, his friends of his that might have been still be in this town.
I will think on it. I know that Dorna has quite a bit more of that than knowledge of that than I do.
Oh, good.
And perhaps she might be able to point you there as well.
Excellent.
But I cannot thank you enough for bringing back our supplies, for doing what you have done for the kingdom and for the land. I
Even converted an ogre to the cause?
I sure did.
no.
Yes.
Yeah, no,
Surely not.
we totally sent him with a little note and a new tab at
Varaxlin.
Yeah, he stops for a moment, like dead on, just freezes and is staring at you.
Yes.
His name is Zug Dug and he's
You
adorable.
sent him to Varaxlin. Did
Yes.
Yeah.
you? Oh. Well, okay then.
It will be fun to see what Varaxlin does with him.
Yes, Yes, it will be. I suppose that is one way to put it. He seems just completely like, for all the time you've seen him up to that point, he was just like wearing his heart on his sleeve, and you can see every emotion crossing his face. And the moment you said you sent an ogre to Varaxlin, it's just like a fucking wall went up, and he's just like, the same smile hasn't left his face an inch, and he's just like, okay.
Oh, I knew we did good.
High five!
And thank you for what you have done. I am able to give you a reward, returning our supplies, and perhaps maybe we can request of you to bring those supplies on your return trip. If you are indeed headed back to Blightwatch, then perhaps we could request that you safely return those supplies where they need to go.
Of course, of course.
Makes a lot of sense.
Why not? Eh?
Our means may not necessarily be overly monetarial as it might be. We can indeed at least offer a pittance, admittedly. Perhaps 100 gold each would be enough to show our appreciation for what you have done.
I won't turn that down. Thank you, Paul.
Ah, a pittance indeed.
Be nice.
Isn't that a good thing? A pittance? No?
Yes.
Yes?
You're grateful. Thank you.
Say thank you.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you for what you have done. I will have that brought to you before you leave the abbey. In the meantime, you wish to go and speak with Dorna then?
Yeah.
Yes, we should speak with her before she retires for the evening.
One more thing.
Yes. Sorry.
We met a halfling in the Tilted Chalice.
Yes.
He is looking for information on some relics that you might have.
Or might know location of
Seeking an audience with
Dorna.
With Dorna.
Yes. We get requests from time to time. It's been busy with the goings on that we haven't necessarily been letting anyone into the abbey that isn't known to us, like Jaxom here. But I suppose if you vouch, then yes, of course we will allow him entry.
He seems trustworthy enough, and he's given us information that might help us in our future pursuits.
Very well.
He's given me no reason to distrust what he is looking for and why.
Very well. Then by your words, it will be done. I will send word that he is allowed audience. Perhaps after you've had your turn, then. Yes.
Lovely. Yes, thank you.
Very good. Yes. Jaxom, you know the way.
Yes.
Feel free. If there's anything that we can do for you here, please just make the mention.
Of course.
I have matters to attend to, and he motions to the garden around him. And you notice at this point also that like where his robes are around his knees, they're just dirty and dusty, and he's wearing these just kind of like white and gold trimmed robes that are just dirty from working in the gardens around here.
You fancy yourself a gardener, I see.
He smiles. It was a pursuit I picked up when I arrived here. Yes, much different than my previous life.
It's got a gold
but much
thumb
more rewarding.
and a heart of green.
Yes, very poetic, young master. Yes.
Yeah.
A green heart is a bad thing, right?
That's
It means it's
a lot of
spoiled.
assumptions.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Very
I
well.
didn't mean to offend.
Thank you again, and I hope to see you again soon.
Yes.
Make sure to say our goodbyes before we take off.
Absolutely. Do not leave before we have a chance to grant upon you the blessings of the Dawnfather. Yes.
Of course.
It would be our honor to do so and to anoint you on your quest.
It will make us an offer we cannot refuse. Because,
On the
well,
day of his... No, that doesn't work.
no,
Right.
not quite.
So he goes back to his gardening, to which, with a couple smiles and waves as he does so. And Jaxom, you lead your way off to where the area that you are headed to is known as the Hall of Illumination.
As we're heading along that way, chuckling and reminiscing on a couple things that I remember of him, and his attendants are always getting annoyed with him about his robes being dusty and dirty. And
I touch tapestries and art pieces and candles. Ooh.
All right. You note that you're not seeing a lot of ostentatious money flowing around. Whereas even the large church of Pelor that was right there in Kellenhall, which had like gilded candelabras and things of
Gilded
that
buttresses.
nature. Yeah, a lot of money was being thrown around at that particular church, but the abbey does not seem to have that. They are very simple in their designs. There's no velvet cushions. There's no, gilded candelabra, no chandeliers that aren't just very simple in design.
I'm sure the Gilding Guild is all sorts of upset about this.
Right. Yeah, pretty much. So, as you're making your way through, you're just seeing the very simple life that the clergy seem to lead here.
while the abbey is not rich monetarily, they are rich in many other aspects.
Like spirituality and, foodstuffs.
Sure.
Knowledge.
Foodstuffs.
So, of course, when you make your way down the series of hallways towards the Hall of Illumination, you make your way through a set of double doors into a fairly impressive library. We're talking, it goes up 2 full stories, up to a vaulted roof.
This is like my worst nightmare.
The second floor is open, and you can see walkways and balconies looking out over the main floor, which has a series of tables laid out. It's very long and narrow, but there seems to be hundreds of books, if not easily 1,000 or more, just lining all of these shelves to the bursting point. Massive areas where scrolls are shoved into lattice work. You can see of various different sizes and colors, and it smells almost instantly of the kind of musty, like the musty smell of paper. No mold, but definitely kind of that dry smell.
You know what my favourite thing about illuminated texts are?
What's that?
It's nice light reading.
I cast fly on myself.
So you walk in, look around, and immediately just bing,
Yep.
fly.
And then just flying up to any shelf and just looking at everything.
I wonder if they have any picture books.
To which, as you open the doors and make your way in, Elliot just looks around, mutters a few arcane words, and then starts to float up towards one of the other ones. To which you get about, say, like 15 feet up and are about to make your way to a particular tome when you hear this kind of whooshing sound, and then what seems like a leather-clad slipper slaps into the side of your face, and you hear from down at the ground level, you hear, "Oi! Stop that!"
Stop what?
And you see this kind of, short, round dwarf woman with her black hair done up in a braid. You see kind of a streak of silvery white making its way down the side as well. You see a nice full set of mutton chops going down the side of her very wide and strong, thickly jawed chin. She has white robes that are trimmed in yellow rather than gold that seem to have ink stains pretty much almost everywhere, just kind of absent-mindedly down it. She also seems to have a fairly wide belt, and you can see what look to be ink and paper and like various different accoutrements just all arrayed around her waist. Anything that a librarian would ever need just at her fingertips any moment. And she's standing there, fists on her hips, and missing one of her shoes as she's glaring up at Elliot, who is flying loftily up towards the second floor.
Excuse me, ma'am. You have to be quiet because it is a library, and last time I was in a library, if I spoke too loud, they kick me out.
Aye, but it's my library,
Oh, congratulations.
and I won't have no people flying up in there.
Be nice to my companions, Dorna.
She looks over, squints, kind of adjusts a set of small circular glasses on her nose. Ah, well, if it isn't Jaxom, welcome back.
Thank you. It's
What
good to
brings
see
you
you.
here?
Other than us coming down here to
Oi, you! Get down! snapping her fingers several times. I'll have none of that, then!
Come on, Elliot.
I Misty step down.
No flying in the log.
You just kind of appear back on the ground. She gives it a little, right then. Thank you.
As
I
I
have-
was saying, other than me coming down here to make sure that we gave you Norin's regards.
Oh, yes. Oh, that boy. Oh. She seems to get a little flustered, a little red in the cheek, and kind of tugs at the neckline of her robe for a moment. Right. Very well. Yes. And? You didn't come all the way just for that?
Unfortunately not.
Didn't we?
that was worth the trip
I
all in
have-
itself.
A book for you.
Aye, a book.
Not a great one, but a book all the same.
Well, a book's a book.
I hand over the diary.
And you reach out, and as she's about to take it, her hand gets like inches from it, and she stops and kind of pulls her hand back. Okay, when I say a book is a book, there are exceptions, and this one, and she kind of mutters something under her breath, holds on to the symbol of Pelor you can see just kind of peeking out underneath her robe, and she motions at it. This is one of them special ones, then?
It is. It was the Grand Vizier, Kavro Seldith's spellbook.
I see.
He was a naughty, naughty boy.
How did you get a hold of it, then?
When he decided it was best to turn into a lich,
She immediately spits on the ground.
we removed it from him forcefully.
He's kind of dead, or undead, or re-dead.
I think he's re-deadening in the Rotting Hills currently.
She huffs. Just a moment. Turns. Walks over to a table. Reaches over and picks up what looks to be a kind of a clay pot. And she places it very gently down on the table. Yells out. "Ah!" Boom! Slams her fist on it. Shatters the whole thing all over the table. Breathes heavily a
Lindo
few
jumped
times.
back in shock.
Comes back over.
What an elaborate performance.
Okay. So, you're telling me then that the Kavro Seldith was a lich, and
Well, I
that
mean-
you stopped him, but you took a spellbook, and now you brought it here?
Technically, he was a necromancer, and now he's a lich.
Okay, fair point. Fair
Um,
point. And he caused... I don't know that there are problems, but I'm assuming that...
He threw the whole town undead, yes.
Oh, no, he
her
raised
eyes
every...
immediately just bulge out.
Didn't make the whole town dead. He raised every single corpse within Kellenhole and had been using the king as an undead puppet for about 15 years.
Breathing heavily, just...
Breathe, Dorna. Breathe.
Everything knows, ready? There you go.
And
And
out
breathe
through
out.
the mouth.
There you go. I'm proud of you.
Okay. And you want me to what?
In the back of the book, there is a language I do not understand. It is supposed, and my professor, Professor Frostmoon, sent me to you, saying that you can translate it.
Wait, Professor... Oh! Yes, very well. Of course.
I am also his son. My name is Elliot Frostmoon.
Are you now?
Yes.
Oh.
They
Look
look-
at you.
They look exactly the same.
She makes her way up to you, and she's looking up at you, just entering your personal bubble without a care. Gives you,
Right.
looks you up and down.
I forget.
Ah,
He's an alien.
I see. Well then.
You
Fair.
recognize what I am.
I do. I've
An
seen your-
alien.
I've seen your kind before.
Interesting.
He is an alien, right?
You keep using that word. I'm unsure if you
Not from this world.
When you cross the border illegally.
Well,
Or cross the world illegally.
he's originally from, or at least his parentage and lineage is from another plane. Yes.
Ha! Alien.
I did cross over, but that's besides the point. In the back there is a language we don't understand.
Yes, the book, of course. Here, give me that vial thing.
Yeah, you can have it.
She takes it from you and she walks over to a lectern and plops it up there. And almost like she's worried about what happens when she opens it, she puts on a set of leather gloves. and she gingerly like opens it just very carefully with like 2 fingers on the front, and opens it up and starts to kind of flip through it. And as she gets about halfway through it, at this point she's just kind of flipping whole chunks of the book through, and until she stops, goes back a couple pages and is starting to look at it, starts to kind of rub her chin. I see.
Start playing a little ditty, and cast fly on Elliot.
I still have fly on me.
Oh,
Yeah, he didn't end the spell.
Then I
I
cast
even
fly on
rolled
Lindo.
a concentration check when she threw a shoe at me. I still kept it.
That's fair. That's fair.
Guys, I don't mean to alarm you, but I'm floating right now.
She's flipping through the book while you guys are standing a
Keep on the
dozen feet
ground.
behind her.
Do you think they need the picture box on the top?
Feet on the ground.
I can't stop it. It's not my
And
fault.
there's like half a foot in the air with his feet
grab
kind of
Lindo
wiggling.
by one of his
I'm
ankles.
not even magical.
Elliot keeps trying to look at
Wilf.
books.
Okay, at this point she's not paying a whole lot of
No.
attention to you directly, and she's flipping through, looking at it, and she seems to mutter under her breath in a very guttural tongue that you don't quite understand. It seems to almost like it almost unnerves you just to hear it. Like your stomach kind of feels a little odd
Guys,
when
I'm
she starts
flying and
muttering
my
it.
tummy hurts. I'm flying and my tummy hurts.
Going on.
How high up off the ground are you now?
Like half a foot.
Oh, good. I stopped.
She. Okay then. This is problematic. To the least.
That's something that we work with.
It seems that that monster, Seldith. It seems he took a journey. He heard a calling. He went and made his way to the Rotting Hills. He found a creature he refers to only as the Oracle. He says that he paid a price for knowledge and the location of the thing of which called to him, of which he only refers to it in the text as the Master. At least so far. And she flips a couple more pages. He goes on a bit of a ramble here, and she flips a couple more pages. A lot of a ramble. He talks about what he saw, things, creatures, and shadows in the darkness, but they all stayed away from him as if they were ordered to leave him alone. He, hold on. She scans through. Here! And she stabs at the page with one, gloved finger.
Ha!
Right here.
Right there.
She refers to the Master as the Hand.
It is a piece of the armor.
Like a glove?
Like
No.
The right hand of Bane.
Right hand of
Yes.
Bane.
Elliot has it.
Oh.
It must be a piece of the armor. I've heard rumor that items could have consciousness, but I wasn't sure. It seemed like that would be the most powerful thing that could hold one.
She shrugs. Possibly, I suppose. Here it just refers to it as the Hand. Hold on, and she continues to mutter, grumble, and that,
it'd be
that
really
odd
weird if it's just
tongue
a physical, weird, singular hand just floating around.
as she's reading
Think
it
it
and
sort of
mumbling it. You
talks
actually
like
see
like the hand puppets.
Yes.
like nearby. You actually see like a flower in a vase actually wilt as she's speaking and muttering in this tongue.
You might not want to speak in
I'm-
that tongue.
I
You're
know
killing
the
your flowers.
dangers. I know the dangers of this. It must be done. Hold on.
I think my ear's bleeding.
While she's doing that, I am looking through the books and seeing if I find anything about the War Ascension, particularly the Dawn Guard.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me a investigation check as you are actively looking through books.
22!
Okay. Anyone else? While Elliot is silently flying around looking at the spines of books, what are you guys doing?
Are there any inkwells nearby?
Yes, there are absolutely.
Great.
inkwells.
Can I decorate my hand to look like a hand puppet?
Yes. you
Great.
can.
I am going to sit there and decorate my hand to look like a hand puppet and go around and be like, "Hey, Wilf, check it out. I am the Hand of Bane." Whoop, 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 whoop.
I'm gonna take a look around, see if they've got any books on,
Hey, where are you going?
crafting interesting items. of vaguely arcane and or divine.
Okay.
I'm gonna laugh when she hits you with her other shoe.
Is anyone actually
You're just
standing there
upset
listening
that
to
you
her?
didn't do it first.
Yes.
Okay.
I am-
Jaxom, obviously, yes.
Yeah,
Jackson's good at standing in listening to people who are giving
half
important
listening.
exposition.
Elliot, you're kind of listening as you're meandering and floating around looking for stuff. At this point, she seems to have noticed that you're flying around, but she's more interested in the book and has lost the initiative to want to throw things at you.
That's a 23 on my investigation.
Okay. So I will say then, Wilf, you are able to find a section of books that deals with the arcane crafting of devices.
Oh,
both
lovely.
mixing of alchemical and magical devices, and to make different things.
Oh, yes.
We will say that it is a book called "Of Things Practical, Arcane of Use."
Of things practical, arcane of use. Lovely.
Okay, we'll say volume 3 of a series. We'll say that Elliot, as you're flying around looking at things, you'll look back at some of the histories. You will find, though, that there is indeed a section of this library that seems to be barred off with locks. So there is very much a section of the library that you're fairly certain the kind of book you would be looking for is going to be behind those locks.
And anything about the Deathly Hollows.
That looks interesting. Too bad I can't go in.
Indeed.
Yet.
But we will say that as you're looking, though, you find a very particular tome that is a compendium of legends, of stories told about the exploits of the Dawn Guard. This is one of those kind of like bedside story type books of things that the Dawn Guard did and that you would tell to children as like legends of lore and heroes and traveling adventurers, and many an adventure around the kingdoms were started by reading stories about the Dawn Guard.
I grab it,
Okay.
and then I fly down to where Lindo is, and I say, Lindo, want me to read you some stories?
Okay, but first, check this out. Hand puppet. Bum bum bada bum bada bum bum. Pretty cool, right?
That's adorable.
Thank you.
So we'll, as you guys are doing that, she's still muttering to herself, and you can actually see that the plant nearby has not only withered, but has basically turned black and is starting to almost like turn to ash and wisp away as she's muttering. And as she continues to do so, she's shaking a little bit. It almost seems to be putting forth quite a bit of effort for her to actually finish translating this. And as she gets to a stopping point on one page, she takes a step back.
Are you okay, man?
Lords above. This is not the easiest thing to translate, you understand it. It was designed to fight any who might try to break its ciphers. But I think I have found a little bit of this. It seems that Kavro, upon... He reached the oracle, he paid the price, he found the way to where he needed to be. He found what he describes to be almost a mausoleum, a chamber under the ground, where he found a dome, and within the dome he found a sphere. The sphere seemed pulsing a negative energy. He posits here that it might be the cause of the blight, of what causes the rotting hills to maintain its necrotic energy.
It's the Rotty.
But he says here that he met an entity, that he refers that he met the master here. He doesn't describe it much. He says that it was large, that it wore black armor, and that it spoke in a voice that shattered mountains.
It's the full armor?
And that's why they don't call him the Rotting Mountains.
She gives a bit of a shrug. I don't know. Keep in mind, some of this is the ravings of a madman.
It was definitely the ravings of the madman.
But it says that the master gave him the secret and granted him the power to do the ritual that he needed. But that he knew that there was more, that the ritual was incomplete. He needed more to it. That's why he said he needed the ritual divining device. It said the master informed him of the brazier, of what it was and what it could be.
Yes, it was a dark day when he got that.
And I can see that.
Yeah. So I don't suppose it says anything like, I hid my little Lich soul bucket thing in this location, or...
It would make sense that it'd be there, and even if not,
Lich
destroying
soul
that
bucket
item
thing.
or that thing will stop the blighted hills.
So we blow it up, and then we cure the blight?
Yes.
It says on this page, and as she kind of motions to one of the pages, it seems to be scrawled almost hastily, more so than the rest. Whereas the rest of the writing is very distinct. This is almost like written in a haste. And she says, here it says that Kavro, he took something belonging to King Westing. And he said that it is only poetic that I use a piece of him as what will hold my power when I return.
Oh, guys.
That must be his phylactery.
Yes.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that he will hide it away where his master met him.
Oh, well,
That's
that's a remarkably wonderful and informative article.
So we're looking for a mausoleum.
Yes.
Well, I mean, if a mausoleum's under the ground,
Any-
isn't it a crypt?
The mausoleum with a dome in the sphere. Like a fancy dessert.
Whoever this oracle is, that is where I'm curious. I want to know where is this oracle? Why did he need the oracle?
I don't know.
Maybe there's some sort of magical hiding spell thing.
Didn't say anything of where that oracle might be, did it?
I need to know something. She immediately turns and makes her way over to that locked area of the library.
Goodbye.
Produces a set of keys from one of her pouches.
I'll follow her.
Clanks open the large lock and
Elise
discards
is
it off to the
literally
side.
right behind her.
She's very one-tracked at this point. She makes her way in, immediately looks around, sees a book about 3 shelves up from the ground towards the back,
I browse some of the spines.
grabs it, pulls it out. As you're perusing, you're noticing, Wilf, that a lot of the books in here seem to be more of the less theoretical and more practical applications of rituals that are not necessarily the purview of the Church of Pelor.
Oh, well, that's just a shame. I wonder what's in here.
As you
that's
reach
why
out to
these are all
grab,
locked up.
and as
What
you
you
reach
looking
out to
at?
grab it, she actually looks over at you like almost immediately and slaps your hand.
Oh.
No, none of that. None of you touch a book in here without my permission.
May I touch
Wasn't
that book?
touching a thing.
No, at least not in here. What do you think this? It is forbidden.
Well, I didn't touch anything. I'm just looking.
Shoo, go.
Come on,
I'll be there in a
out,
moment.
Out.
I can't even
I mean,
read.
if I pull it out with mage hand and
No.
not touching it?
No.
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 Oh, okay, no.
Okay, look. Go and look at any book outside of here. Go. You can look at whatever you want. Just not in here.
Right?
As she kind of Jaxom assists in ushering you out of the little caged area. As she takes down one book, you note that it's actually chained to the shelf that she pulls it down from. Flips through and seems to be muttering to herself again.
I pat her on the shoulder, apologizing for my compatriots while sending some healing energy.
She seems
Into
to
her.
square her shoulders a bit, and you actually note that like a little bit less gray is now appearing in her hair. It looks like she's actually almost some more gray had actually started appearing as she was reading, and it kind of color seems to flood back into her. She sighs. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And she continues reading as you guys make your way out there. Lindo, as you go and sit down at one of the table and you got your little bane hand, you're mumbling, and you look down and you see a very weather-worn and well-worn cover of a book kind of half shoved under some other papers. And you kind of reach in and pull it out.
that out.
It seems to be almost like a paper like pamphlet, less than a book.
Huh.
And it seems to be one of a series,
Hey, flip
if
it
only
open.
because of the number 14 at the bottom. Well, for Lindo, all you notice is it's got some scribbles, but it has this amazingly well done picture of a very brazen-looking dwarf surrounded by what looks to be a whole horde of scantily clad women.
Haha.
And definitely, he's sitting there with like a beer in his hand and a warhammer at his hip, giant beard puffing out under a horned helmet, giant smile on his face.
Lindo's eyebrow raises drastically and starts flipping through the pages.
I know
It's
that
illustrated.
book. That's Thorn Manvilhammer and the Queen of the Amazons.
I'm sorry?
Yes, indeed, it is actually a Thorn Manvilhammer novel, number 14 exactly.
What is it about?
As you're flipping through, you see the pictures. You can tell what it's about.
Oh, never mind. I can figure it out.
So
I'm just going to take this.
it looks to be again fairly well weather-worn and read through.
Elliot, I need to learn how to read.
Why?
Like yesterday.
yesterday.
Yes.
Takes you more than a day. It takes people more than a day to learn to read. Linda.
Also,
But
I think the time magic's all locked up in there.
what did you find?
She comes running over. Before making her way over, she actually stops and locks the cage again. Comes over holding the books that she had pulled off. You notice that the chain seems to have been undone from the back. She slaps it up on the lectern next to the book you brought in. The Sunken Oracle. That is where he went. That is how he found it. The center of the Blight.
Ew.
The
Okay, what is the Sunken Oracle?
She motions at the book. Says, that history chronicles some of the goings on back in the kingdom before the War of Ascension. There was a oracle, someone who talked directly to the primordial spirits, but they couldn't leave their spot. That spot is where the Rotting Hills is now. If it is the same oracle, then it means Kavro found someone who channels the primordial truth, someone who can tell any truth that is asked of them.
that
For-
sounds dangerous.
For a price.
Well, we now have a location and a name. That is more than what we started with.
If you can find the Sunken Oracle, then you might be able to find the center of the Blight. You might find Kavro's phylactery, and you might put an end to this.
Those all sound like good things.
yes.
It does.
That sounds right up our alley.
Excellent. I didn't know we had an alley, but I'm glad we do.
I have another question.
Yes.
A completely different subject.
If we're going to switch gears, fine.
Do you know King Westing before he died?
Yes, I did. Numerous times, King Westing requested things of us, and I delivered them myself.
Okay. Do you know any of his friends?
I knew some. There's noble families. I knew of his family.
Okay. His family?
Yes, his wife and his children, his daughter and his son.
His daughter and his son.
Yes, unfortunately they died. His wife and his children were leaving the city. This was nigh on 30 years ago or so. They were leaving the city during some unrest, during one of the wars with, the greenskins, the creatures from the mountains, the goblinors, the orcs.
Orcs?
Yes. Matter of factly, not to be rude, of course, but the same marauders that sired Jaxom here. He is very well known of that.
Oh yeah.
That's right. You were sired.
We all were.
But during that unrest,
Yeah, it was.
King Westing, he sent his wife and children out of the city for safety, but their carriage was attacked, and none survived.
Their bodies found.
From what I understand, from what the histories say, his wife, son, and daughter were burned, along with the carriage on the roadside.
Burned.
Yes, their ashes are kept in memorial underneath the capital city.
Okay, because King Westing himself said that he had a son, one still living. Before he fell out.
Oh, yeah, no, I knew that.
He did.
Mm-hmm.
He said this to you.
Yes.
She gets this kind of like long off 1,000-yard stare for a moment. That means there's an heir to the throne of Daria.
Yes. We need to find him.
Yes, I would say very much you do.
But
I assume you.
It's on our list.
Yeah,
I have a list of things to do.
Your list seems to be pretty big at this point.
Well,
it's
I mean,
not very big. It
yeah.
just has lots of big things on it.
I mean, I for one am not up
important.
for the matriarchy, but sure.
But we were wondering if you had any information on people the king would have known before he fell 15 years ago.
Maybe he got into their bands.
He's a very popular king. How about this? Let's make a deal, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
If you are going on this errand, if you are going to make your way into the Rotting Hills and find the source of the blight and defeat Seldith for all, if you succeed, perhaps that will give me some time and I will do some research for you. Anything that would be a suitable reward for effectively saving the kingdom again.
I think that'll be useful.
I will do what I can. I will call in some favors.
Okay.
Much appreciated. Much appreciated.
And also this book, because this book is needed for research.
She looks down and immediately her cheeks go scarlet.
Because this obviously needs for research.
You found
I need this for reasons.
Lindo.
yes, sure, okay. Yes,
Yeah.
take
I
it
mean,
with you.
unless you were reading it.
No, of course not. Why would no. Yes, you please take the book. Take it. Just perhaps for archiving's sake, maybe bring it back when you are done.
Okay.
Yes, please.
For archiving's sake.
Yes, indeed. There aren't that many copies of that particular piece surviving in the kingdom.
I cannot read it, so it'll be fine.
We're going to teach him how to read. It's important for him.
She just wide-eyed. Oh, well then. Yes, by all means take it. Return when you have succeeded, and I will have the information you require if it is available.
Okay.
Sound like a deal?
Haha!
Yes.
I own my very first book!
If you could also look up things of the Dawn Guard as well.
I will do what I can, young mage. I will do.
Because we found a thing.
You find all the things.
Yes, and how about for now, we deal with what we have. I have a lot on my plate now.
Good luck.
Yes, indeed. Anything
And-
else you need? Just maybe come back alive. Yes.
That is always the plan. Always the plan.
Very well then.
I suppose.
How else would we come back?
We've defeated this man before. We can do it again.
All right. Well, thank you for everything you have done, and good luck, best of luck to all of you. And may the Dawn Father be with you, and may the new Dawn Guard just be risen with you.
Those were almost words, yeah.
There's a lot happening.
Yes, we've put a lot on our plate since we walked in here.
Don't
And
leave
took a
until
few things
tomorrow.
off.
Upon the morrow, I will have some more information about maybe the layout or the possible location of the Sunken Oracle.
That would be greatly helpful. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
We'll see you tomorrow morning. Light be with you.
Light be with you, Donna.
Yep.
Keep on shining.
I will. And she turns back to her books, and as you guys leave the abbey and start making your way back to the Tilted Chalice, that is where we will end for this evening. So thank you, dear Digidicers, for joining us for another episode of Hazardous Endeavors. And until next time,
Game on, Internet!